Hey guys, I'm Pixel Dan, and this is a review of the Masters of the Universe Classics, Green Granamyr. That's right, this is the second Granamyr figure in the Classics line, and one of 3 PowerCon 2016 exclusives. So let's go ahead and check him out. As you can see, he comes in a fully enclosed box, which also features some absolutely beautiful artwork. It looks a lot like what we got the first time around with our red Granamyr, however, you can see that it has been updated with the new green deco. The paint is awesome on this. I just really love that artwork, and I think a lot of fans, like myself, are definitely going to want to keep this box because of how beautiful it is. Now, when you rotate that box around to the backside, we're even given a brand new bio for Green Granamyr. Now, opening up this box, you will notice that there is some assembly required. If you already have the red version of Granamyr, this really should come as no surprise to you. The figure puts together exactly the same as it did before. All of the arms, the legs, the wings, and the head, including the upper torso there, feature pegs that interlock together so that you can snap the whole figure together. It's actually very easy to do it. I don't have any problems at all, especially with the legs or the arms or the tail. The wings and the head are a little tight, so it'll take a little pushing to get them locked into place. The only problem I'm really having with it, and this has kind of been something that a lot of people have been reporting, is that the upper part of the torso isn't fully connecting as tight as I'd like it to with the lower portion. Once you get them all put together, it does sit there just fine, but it seems like I'm not able to really lock it into place completely tight. Now, like I said, it's holding together just fine, but it's worth noting that just a little simple nudge seems to knock the upper torso off, just like that. So, might be something you need to be wary of, and maybe I'm just not pressing in tight enough, but I'm giving this a really tight push, and it's not really clicking into place. It is snug. I mean, it fits there, and you can see, look, I'm picking it up by the upper portion. It just doesn't take a lot to remove it. So, it might just be by design. I don't really think it's a figure ruiner by any means, especially since I'm particularly just going to be displaying him on the shelf. But for anybody that plans to, play with the guy and maybe bash him around, or especially with kids, that's just something to be wary of. I mean, it can separate there pretty easily. But aside from that, once we got them all put together, this is what we get. This is our gorgeous looking Green Granamyr figure. Now, I've got him in a sitting position, which is how he is meant to be displayed. That is how he's featured in the mini comic and in the Filmation series. He's always kind of lower there. I know he's kind of coming out of the hole there in the ground too, but he definitely works better in this sitting pose, and that's the way he's designed. He's flat across the bottom, which is perfect for that. It is worth noting that if you want to try to stand him up, you can stretch those legs down. You can see they're real tight joints, and we'll talk a bit about that a little bit more when we're talking about articulation too. But you can stretch those legs out if you want to, and you can stand him up. He's very top heavy, so it's a bit hard to get him balanced, and his knees don't straighten all the way out, and he's got skinny legs. But if you want to stand him up, you can find the right way to balance him, and he looks pretty cool. And when you're standing him up, this figure is around 22 inches tall. In the seated pose, he's 14 inches tall. So this is a massive action figure. So the sculpt is pretty much exactly the same as what we saw before. The only difference, of course, is the paint deco. But I will say that Mattel did quite an amazing job redecoing this entire figure. He's a nice bright green, and there's some good different shades of green in there as well. We got a darker green, lighter greens, especially when you're coming around to his front side and on his belly there. But what I'm really impressed with is just the amount of wash that's in there. All that black wash you can see. It really brings out all of the wonderful sculpted details by the Four Horsemen, such as all the wrinkles seen in his face there, and then of course just the texture of his skin. Look at that. All the scales and all of these details are brought out beautifully because of the wonderful wash that they put on this thing. It definitely makes it so he's not just too bright green, not really glowing and clean looking. I mean, he's got quite a bit of a grimy look to him, which is really cool. But I absolutely love that. I thought that wash was something that brought out the sculpt beautifully. And a wash like that wasn't even on the red Granamyr, not to the extent that it's on this green one here, which we'll see a little bit closer in just a bit. The helmet on his head's got a nice kind of metallic silver shine. I also love the bone color on the horns there. I mean, everything about this guy is just wonderful. He is a great looking figure. And of course, he's green because that's the way Granamyr appeared in the vintage mini comics. So same character was in both the mini comics and the Filmation cartoon series, but in Filmation he was red, and the mini comics he was green. So this finally allows fans to get a mini comics version of this really beloved character. So let's go ahead and talk articulation with this guy. Now, really we're going to be probably just posing him on our shelf in the sitting pose. We're not going to do a lot with it, but it is worth noting that you can articulate him around. The head is ball jointed, and it is a bit of a tight joint on there, so you can kind of rock it around, but you can see great range of motion here. Look at that. I can rock the head all the way around. I wish I could get him looking down just a little bit more. The sculpt of his neck and everything kind of prohibits that, but otherwise, really great range of motion here. The wings are, of course, ball-jointed as well. They're just like we've seen on characters like Dragoman and stuff like that. So, and the same wings we saw on the previous Granamyr as well. So you can rotate those around. You can get the flapping action there, which is very nice. We do have the ball joints at the shoulders there. Very, very tight joints too. So they don't really come outwards because they don't have the hinge in there, but you can see you can kind of roll them up and down, which works very nicely. We do have swivels at the elbow there. You can also straighten the arms out like so. And then we have the nice joints at the wrist, which allows the wrist to spin all the way around. And we do have the hinge on there as well, so the hand can move up and down. The tail on the back has the ability to swivel. Again, really tight joints. You can see how it's kind of like those nice ratchet joints there. It's really clicking in place. And then, like I showed you with the legs, you can move the legs down at the thighs there. The knees are nice with a swivel and a ball joint there. So look at that. You got the standard movement. You can also swivel it all the way around. And then even the ankles are jointed, so you can roll the foot all the way around. So great range of movement on this guy, even though there's not a lot of crazy dynamic poses we can get out of him. It's still nice that we can move the arms the way we can, especially with the hands and everything. And all of the articulation is pretty tight and functions well, with the only place being not quite as tight as I like being that upper torso there. Alright guys, it's comparison time. Let's go ahead and put green Granamyr standing alongside our previously released red Granamyr, just so you can really get a look at the differences between these two. And you can see what I was talking about with that paint deco. They're very different from each other, and the red one doesn't quite have the detailed wash that this new green one does. So there you go, my friends. There is a look at the brand new green Granamyr, which was exclusive to the 2016 PowerCon. Overall, I find this to be a really gorgeous figure. I absolutely love it. Now, particularly, I was always more of a fan of the red Granamyr, but I'm glad that we got the green Granamyr, and after seeing him in person, I was really blown away by the paint deco that was given to him, and I'm happy to display two of these beautiful dragons on my Masters of the Universe Classic shelf. Now, as I said, he was exclusive to PowerCon. He was also made available online for several weeks before the show, but they have completely sold out at this point. So if you weren't able to pick one up at the show, you're going to have to check the secondary market at this point. But if you're a big Granamyr fan, I highly recommend trying to track one down and add him to your collection. Hey guys, if you enjoyed this video, why not hit that like button and also subscribe so you never miss out on one of my Masters of the Universe reviews. Until next time, my friends.